Hi, Anjali. So you sent us your first set of essays. Let's take a look and see what you said in this set. The first essay is about schools, whether they should educate or whether they should entertain as well. Here's what you wrote. People have differing views concerning you need a the here, ultimate motive of educational institutes. In my opinion, schools possess the potential of offering much more than just academic studies. This essay will explain several reasons behind my belief with the help of some examples of famous singers, plural. Okay, let's see what you wrote. Firstly, lowercase I. In this competitive world, there is extreme pressure on students to perform their best in academics, to have, not for having, to have a better future, which shows totally reciprocating the results. Careful, that's not really a very clear expression. I mean, what does that mean, shows totally reciprocating results? Instead of doing better, students are failing, and even in the worst cases, incidents, you mean TS here, of suicide and psychological problems are on the rise. Or the incidence of suicide would have been okay. Research from Harvard has indicated, no comma, 80% of teenagers are suffering from some type of mental problems ranging from schizophrenia to minor anxiety due to increased, with a D, pressure from studies. On the flip side, fun events such as school parties, sports, dance battles, singing, and other types of healthy and entertaining competitions help distract students' mind. Student here, S apostrophe, minds for a while and give them a fresh start for studies. Okay, this paragraph, it's nice, but it's not really on topic. You didn't actually get to this idea of entertainment until like the last third of your paragraph. The rest of it was just talking about pressure, and so you kept going on, but you never really addressed the issue here. Even some of the things you were talking about, this fun events, has nothing to do clearly with school and how schools should be more entertaining. You're just talking about things that allow students to let off some steam. So in general, it doesn't feel like a paragraph that's addressing the question, okay? So here, what could you have said? Well, it would have been a lot better if you had, starting here, when you said there's extreme pressure for students to perform their best, to have a better future, you could have said that for that reason, it is very important that schools provide entertaining outlets for students so that they can relieve some of this pressure and then be able to return to their studies with a fresh mind. This can keep them from feeling anxiety and other mental issues, etc., etc. So you could have incorporated some of the stuff you said in this paragraph, but you needed to frame it within school and how it's school's responsibility to be more entertaining, okay? Let's go to your next paragraph. Secondly, we don't call it teenage. Teenage is just an adjective, so instead you could say the teen years, or you could call it adolescence. That would have been good too. So, adolescence is a very delicate stage of life. Children are usually confused with everything around them, such as their roles in family, their desires, struggling with differentiating between wrong and right. In addition, get rid of the major one that doesn't help you. So, in addition, their career goals are quite blurred, providing them with the opportunity to participate, in different extracurricular activity does not. You can't write contractions in an IELTS essay. So, does not only help in refreshing their minds, comma, but also gives them their goals in life. Some students are of artistic temperament, therefore can achieve success only in those fields. For instance, a very popular American singer, Ariana Grande, has revealed in an interview that a school singing competition in 7th grade made her realize that she was born to be a singer. Okay, fine. What's your point here? You're saying that, okay, you know what would have been a good idea if you had talked about this from the beginning, because again, I feel like the order of your ideas isn't quite clear. So it makes much more sense if you take this main idea, which is really what this paragraph is about, and put it in the beginning. So what could have happened instead? You could have said, secondly, it is important for schools to provide students with the opportunity to participate in extracurricular activities, not only to refresh their mind, but also to give them goals in life. Okay? And then you could have talked about that thing about Ariana Grande. Okay? And then all of this, I don't know. Again, I felt like it was taking you a really long time to get to the point. I think instead maybe you could have come up with another idea like this Ariana Grande one. Or maybe some other way, some other additional way that all of this entertainment in schools can help shape children. Maybe children can learn other soft skills that they can't gain in an academic setting. Okay, so think about the soft skills that you can gain when you are playing games with your fellow students or doing other things that are entertaining. Okay, so that's one way I would have developed this. Let's take a look at your conclusion now. To conclude from the examples and arguments given, I firmly believe entertainment in educational settings is just as important, without the much, as the education itself. Moreover, it is quite necessary for schools to include certain events in their annual curriculum planning. If this trend continues, never start a sentence with "and." One can anticipate in the future the majority of people would not be indulged, but would be engaged or would be employed in the job they like. Okay? Fine. So we had to change some words around there and a few things with your grammar. Other than that, it was fine. So for your first essay, it's fine. There are some things that I want you to work on a little bit. Really making sure that the central idea of your paragraph is clear in that first sentence, okay? Let's take a look now at your second essay, which is about doing an enjoyable activity. It has been argued that playing with children is a better way to increase cognitive powers and can be more creative than just by simply reading books. There's something happening with your grammar here. Let's try it again. It has been argued that playing with children is a better way to increase cognitive powers and be more creative than let's see. Okay, than just reading books. Get rid of simply and by. While I agree that spending time with children, it has to be children because we never write kids in an IELTS essay. It's really too informal. So, spending time with children can help in developing more practical skills. I also believe that reading books is totally different, but a really effective method of developing certain skills. This essay will explain both my opinions with the help of examples of a study from McGill University and a famous author. Okay, fine. Firstly, many people believe that communicating and doing activities with children can improve a person's soft skills, and I totally agree with this belief. This is due to the fact that children generally have a more open approach towards all aspects of life. They observe their surroundings in an utterly discreet way, okay, which would probably be quite atypical for an adult. A recent study at Columbia University, from Columbia University, has proved that children are more creative than adults because of their inexperience and lack of prejudiced perceptions, and their lack of prejudiced perceptions increase the variety in their methods of doing certain things. When adults do some enjoyable activities with children, they learn new methods of exploring and doing things, which improves their cognitive skills and creativity. Who, the adults or the children? In addition, handling a child appropriately requires a host of skills. Therefore, just being with a child makes one really creative. Okay, careful here. I realize that there's some confusion with this task. It sounds like you're talking about these skills being developed in adults, but it's supposed to be developing in children, not in the adults. Okay, so be careful with the way you're writing this. I understand where this confusion comes from, and in fact, a lot of people have this, but the focus is on children developing these skills. Okay, secondly, reading books is a totally different way of developing skills. Well-written books have the potential of changing one's life. Okay, undoubtedly, just reading certain facts or stories will not change anything, but the implications of those in one's life could be definitely proven as a great way of improving oneself. There are stories about the books which made a great impact on individuals' lives. For instance, a book named The Power of Positive Confrontation by Barbara Pachter has helped many people in enhancing their communication skills. There is a well-known and accepted phrase that literally gives the most legitimate reason to consider books for developing better skills and being creative. Which is, you're missing a which is knowledge is power. This phrase actually indicates the value of knowledge the major source of which, because whose is for people, um, the major source of which is books. What's going on here? This phrase actually indicates the value of knowledge, the major source of which is books, and without appropriate information, it would be extremely difficult to develop skills in the best way possible. Okay, so let's talk about this paragraph a little bit. This paragraph shows me that you're really thinking about books in terms of adults and not children, which really just kind of confirms for me that there's a little bit of a misunderstanding of this task. If you had understood it correctly as referring to children, the content of what you actually wrote in this paragraph would probably have been different. As far as if this were actually talking about adults and adults developing different skills, then I understand why you wrote what you did. But really, it's just inappropriate because we're talking about how to develop skills in children. So, again, I mean, what you wrote is nice, but it's just not really showing an appropriate understanding of the topic. All right, so let's look at the conclusion. To conclude from arguments and examples, I believe that reading books and doing activities with children are entirely different ways of developing soft skills and being creative, and each has their own importance. That's what's missing here. Now, there's one other thing I want to talk to you about, which I didn't mention before. It's this secondly here. Essentially, each of these two body paragraphs is talking about different sides of this issue. So on the one hand, you're talking about activities. On the other hand, you're talking about reading. And so since these are two essentially contrasting thoughts, firstly and secondly, don't work as ways to introduce your paragraphs. You could have had on the one hand, on the other hand, all right, or some other thing that shows some sort of contrast, but we typically use firstly and secondly when each paragraph is arguing the same side of something, okay? So that's another thing I want you to be aware of. All right, well, so for the first set of essays, what you wrote is nice. They're not without errors, of course. So what you need to do, first of all, is correct these essays based on this video correction and send them back to us. With that, you're going to send us two other things. The first thing you're going to send us is an error correction list where you write down all the mistakes that were pointed out to you, and next to each mistake, write down what the corrected version is. You're going to add to this list with every essay correction you get back. The third thing you'll send us is, of course, a new set of essays. Try to do them within the next day or so you can really apply everything you've been learning, okay? We'll let you get started on that, and we'll meet back here with your next set of essays. Good luck.